Hi guys, as you can see I'm inside my house, which is unusual on video, but something pretty big came in the mail. It was actually on a pallet. You might be able to guess what it was based on this shirt, but I just got the Camburg 4-link kit and a rear axle housing. I've always wanted this kit. It's kind of like a dream come true to even be able to have it. Because of how nice everything is, and it is a little more expensive to go this way than to, let's say, buy the rough stuff link kit, which is more closer to like $1,000. But I feel like for what I'm trying to do with this truck, this is the right way to go. And plus, I really like the stuff that Camburg makes. I mean, who doesn't? I didn't have them do pretty much any options on the rear end, and I'm just gonna have to do that all myself because it is very expensive to have them build your rear ends. Or I guess in general it is expensive to build a rear end. So like if I were to have them weld on the top truss to house that uniball or that Heim, it would have been like $700. So I decided to I'll just figure that all out myself. And so what I'll have to do with this rear end is get the snouts on each side, Camburg hubs. I'm gonna do a spool with a pretty high gear ratio in there, and then I'll have to get a third member and axles, and then brakes and disc rotors. So it is absolutely bare right now. This is actually, I believe this is the same exact WMS as my current axle, but instead of WMS on this axle, it's cut right there. So when I put the snouts in and everything, it'll be about 10 inches wider than stock. So it looks a little short right now, but once I get those snouts in the ends and get everything all done, eventually it'll look a little bit wider. I wiped everything down with IPA, and I was just looking at all the craftsmanship, and everything looks really good. All the welds are top notch as usual. These FK rod ends are huge, like that's my fist, and they're nearly the same size. I've never really been around too many desert vehicles, so I'm pretty much seeing all this stuff for the first time. It's pretty cool. And then another thing I got recently was this Jazz fuel cell. Got a little damaged in shipping, but I'm not gonna wait another 3 months to get a new one for that. So yeah, this has the foam in it and everything, so it's all ready to go. It doesn't have a sending unit, but it has a dipstick, and I'll just have to use that instead, which I'm fine with because it's one less thing to have to do. I'm not going to be like dailying this thing, of course, so I don't mind that. I'm very excited to get going on this. They didn't send me any directions, so I'm not sure if it's a just figure it out yourself kind of deal or not. I would like to know if there's at least like locating like pre-drilled holes in the frame that they based it off of, like from the factory. But I'll just have to go see for myself, I guess. If not, I can ask them if they have any suggestions or anything. Super excited that I was able to get this and that it all came in time. Another cool thing about having this kit is how there's not really any coverage on YouTube about this. I think his name's Jereza or something, has a little video showcasing his build, but it's mostly just made of pictures. So I'll be able to walk you guys through the installation process on this, and so I think that'll be pretty cool to be one of the first on YouTube to sort of give people an understanding of how this thing goes together and whether or not it's the right choice for you. Alright, I'm gonna work on the Ranger today. I haven't worked on it in probably 2 months. Just waiting on all my parts and stuff. It's a beautiful rainy day today, and it's a nice temperature in here, and so I might do some welding. I have to weld the cage. It's most of the way there, but I just have a few more welds to do on it. What I'm gonna focus on today is trying to get this link truss bar in. I didn't get any response from Camburg. I asked them if they had any instructions or anything, but they didn't so far answer me because it's the weekend. So I can at least do some of this kind of stuff. These 2 bolts and these 2 bolts essentially replace this little cross member that's there. And then these 2 things, I believe, try to go around that hole. So I'll have to grind these rivets out and hammer it upwards, and yeah, I'll get this piece out and I'll bolt this one on and see what the next steps are for that. And then I'm not so sure about how these mount up. I thought that this 3/4 inch bolt would go somewhere around here, and I also seen some other pictures of this supporting one of these, so I'll see once I get all this done how everything lines up, and I'll go from there. Alright guys, so as you saw from that hyperlapse, it didn't take me long at all to get these rivets out. What I did to get the rivets out was just cut a little X on each one, and then I flipped the grinder around and went like this inwards. I made sure I had a new grinder so it had more length to reach that rivet, and then I got my flapper disc and I sort of cleaned up the area and made sure the metal was flat, so that then I can come in with my sledgehammer, and I just banged it up on both sides. There's little tabs that go into there for some reason, but when you bang them both up, you're able to just slide it to the side on this side, and then you can push it that way on that side when they're both up, and it will come out. So there it is. It's a little bit hard to record in here. There's only about 3 feet or so of room in between the frame rails, so I'm trying my best to get the camera angles. Another thing is the tripod doesn't go that low, so what I'm gonna do now is bolt this up to here somehow. I'm probably gonna have to move all this stuff out of the way, but that's okay. I might actually end up like unclipping a lot of this stuff, so I'm just gonna bolt this up and see where we're at after.
Beats, you going crazy.
Alright guys, so what I ended up doing was getting those rivets out earlier, and then the bolts are half-inch bolts, I think, and so I had to drill out the holes that the rivets are in, and then this crossmember didn't actually end up lining up with the holes completely perfect. They needed to be going a little bit more inwards. My frame could be a little bit, I don't want to say bent, but it could have been moved around because of the cage and other things like that. Just being under tension. So I just ended up cutting a hole right here on both sides. Just a little strip. And I'm probably going to end up welding this thing onto the frame, but this will just allow me to move it around in either direction that I need it to. And if I really wanted to, I could just weld a plate back in there and make a hole where it needs to go. I think this will connect to one of the supports or something. This is a little bit weird to me, but I'll have to look and see what else I can do. I don't really understand how this is supposed to go, but I'll have to figure it out. Alright, so it looks a little different here. I ended up having to take out these bars on each side, and then the ones in the middle that connected down to those two. So I looked at a little bit of pictures that I had from someone else that had a similar kit, and basically this is the middle link mount, and this will connect to this like that and capture the bolt. From the factory, there's a little dimple die right here and right here. I ended up shaving down that a little bit so it's flat. You could see right here what I'm talking about. This dimple dies in a little bit, and I just shaved that down on the other side. I'm probably gonna have to end up taking this cross member out. I might get on that today, we'll see. There's probably one, yeah, there's one right here, one right here, and then there's one right here, here, and here. So I'll have to work around that. I'm probably, while the tubes are out, I'm gonna probably cut this flush with the cab to make it look a little better, and I'll get everything cleaned up. As for the outer link mounts, this is really hard to film, but this is a little heavy, so I thought that these two holes would line up with these two for the crossmember, but it turns out that that's not the case. I believe that this big hole in the frame is where this will go through, but when I'm doing that, it's hitting where my tube is for the cab cage, so I'm gonna have to just take a little bit of a notch out of where this hole is, and that way it'll fit around the tube. So yeah, it'll look something like this when I'm done, and then I might have to put this through that hole and then drill a new hole right here, so it looks something like that maybe when I mount it. Alright, here's another update. I ended up getting all the cross members off. So for example, I can just put this in here, stick my finger in there, and that's gonna be pretty much where it goes. This moves up and down a lot, so I might have to bolt that down to see where it goes. I'm unsure. It'd be nice if this hole that's pre-drilled lines up with that hole. It probably does. I'll just have to see if it'll line up though. I'm thinking the piece that goes down like that is for this side, because there's a lot more room. This kind of like lays on the bottom of the frame, I think, and then this sort of, I don't know how this really goes, but I think this is about right. And then I don't know if a bolt will end up going through there or not, but we'll see. Alright guys, so it's been about an hour. We have this side and this side mount on. There's this body mount right here, and there's a pre-drilled hole from the factory. If this didn't perfectly line up to this, then I'd sort of drill a little bit more, or I would like whittle it outwards, make the hole a little bit bigger so I had a little more adjustability in where this sits. This is probably as good as it's gonna get in terms of fitment. The top piece is touching the frame, and then it's kind of at an angle to the line of the frame for me. It might be different for each truck because the frame is could be bent or just not the same, but that's what it's like for me. What I'm gonna have to do now is mark out the holes. Mark out this hole, the hole back there if you can see that. And I believe that's all of them. So I have to drill out about 3 holes. Now I don't have a drill bit for this size, so I'll have to order one or go pick one up. But yeah, that's how everything's fitting right now.